Well, good morning, Annette. Well, look, the guidance, I believe, is based on a very, very successful first quarter. Our bookings have been up 15%, revenues up 7%, operating profit up 39%. So that's a good start into the year. And obviously, there's a bit more visibility, especially on the most relevant short cycle industries, such as digital industries. And that's why we've been raising the guidance. Now, we are aware of the fact that, with the pandemic, we are not alone in the world. There's supply chain, there is demand side. But we've had a strong quarter. We've seen, the development now in January already on whether or not it continues. And it seems that the momentum continues, at least at this point in time. And therefore, I think it was only prudent to materially actually raise the forecast for the year, although we are aware of the fact that every quarter is a new quarter. But then again, you look at our peers, we looked at our customers, and it seems that we are well underway.
You're saying that especially China, but also Germany is very strong. So what is driving demand in those countries, and how's the US going?
Well, I mean, China has definitely been, the ultimate driving machine, so to speak, in the first fiscal quarter. Revenues have been up more than 20%. That's been fascinating, really. On the other hand, it's not only about China. What we see, especially in Asia and, of course, in China, is that there's massive demand, especially for those industries or for those end markets, which benefit a lot from people staying home. Like the gaming industry and the likes, and that's also where the export model from China goes into the global world. Think about smartphones, gaming and the likes, and that's where the biggest demand has been. And those are very modern industries. So they, very automated lines, and they need a lot of software, manufacturing software and automation. And that's why we have been benefiting a lot in that area. Germany and parts of Europe, I believe, has been more a catch-up than anything else from the last quarters, which were very, very weak, especially in the tool building automotive area. So I would expect that to be a catch-up game and not so much a future growth play with newly emerging industries. I think the biggest opportunity definitely is the United States. I mean, they finally came to terms with their political leadership. There's clarity there. The new government and president has been acting quickly, especially on structuring the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. And if you look at it, it's a lot about public transportation. It's a lot about renewable energy. And obviously, those things need to be built. So it is about manufacturing. And those are the sweet spots of Siemens. So I would expect the United States to be the biggest opportunity, especially for our company in the second half of the calendar year and definitely in 2022.
So what Janet Yellen was saying, to go big on spending, that's something positive for your company as well.
It's very positive because it's all about capital goods and investment into infrastructure. And as I said, renewable energy, automation, manufacturing jobs is always about automation. And if the confidence again goes up in the country, that means people are buying more cars and the likes. So that, of course, will then again stimulate our OEM partners who are building those things. So I have to say I'm the most optimistic in the future about the United States. It may take longer than we sometimes wish because the money needs to be distributed, it needs to be put to work. And from a commitment on money to an order is typically, there's some time in between. But then again, it's good to have opportunities while a very, very powerful Asian economy, especially in China, helps us to overcome the uncertainty in Europe and currently still in the United States.
You don't sound very positive about Europe. There has been some concern and frustration also with the rollout of the rescue fund in Europe. Would you share those frustrations or interpretation that it's just too slow how Europe is acting?
Well, as a CEO, I learned that I shouldn't be frustrated. I'd rather do something about it. And that would be my advice also, say, in the European side. They need to get their act together to build a strategic program going forward. What is Europe all about in let's say, 2025 or 2030? We still are way behind in the digital pipes building. And if there is no digital pipes, if there is no high-speed network, how can you build applications on top of it? The second thing is that the European Union needs to be more precise about how they put their concepts, which at times are not too bad, how they put it to work. And it's been one of the biggest issues also now with the distribution of the vaccine. As much as I like the fact that the European countries stand together and make this a European priority, as much we see that it just doesn't work in execution. And that needs to get a better grip on execution. And this is all true for Germany. So we've got all it takes. I believe the collaboration between the federal and the state governments is well underway, but execution still needs a significant pent up, because otherwise we're not going to be vaccinated by mid-end of the calendar year, and that needs to be done one way or the other.
So you think that the crisis management, especially in that crisis, is not going too well in Europe, but also in Germany when it comes to the vaccination rollout?
Well, it's more about execution, obviously, because that is rather slow. As I said, I really like the idea that the European countries come together and make a joint concept for all Europeans, which I thought was a good intent to integrate European interest. But obviously execution has not exactly been a benchmark on how you would do it. As far as Germany is concerned, I believe we see similar things. The integration of interest between the federal government and the state government is doing well. There's good interaction, but the rollout needs to be much better organized. And we have the German army. They can help. They know how to do logistics. They know how to do mobile operations. So they've got healthcare expertise. So that needs to get a better execution. Crisis management is not a basic democratic approach. You need to go get things done quickly, and you have a very stringent way to do so. That's what we've learned in our crisis management when we had the first wave in March, April's timeframe, where we did exactly that. Crisis management, we put the top people together, set the framework, and then executed decentralized. And the second wave now, which is by factors more serious in our company, showed us that we learned a lot from the first one. There's hardly any interruption in production, in the way we interact between home offices and the company. So we learned a lot, and it's all about execution in the end.
When are you expecting that we have a grip on the corona crisis and it will actually no longer affect business as much as it did now, or as it is doing currently?
Well, Annette, see, I really don't have all the facts to give a meaningful answer. I can tell you what I hope to see is that we have, let's say, a 50-60% succession rate, at least by year end, by calendar year end. That would be a desirable outcome, so that we have an ease of concern for a potential third or fourth wave by end of the calendar year 21, so that 22 could be a significant year of execution, of catching up in the global industry and global economy. And we need that, because clearly this pandemic is not just about healthcare or about economic factors. It is also about societal impact and societal crisis. And that's what I'm most concerned about, that the people are, not just as patient anymore as it would be required. And that's a massive disruptive factor, which I'm much more concerned about than, let's say, stimulus or any other topics.
Just quickly, this year will be a very important year in Germany. Election coming up, the term of Angela Merkel is coming to an end. How important is that to you, and how will that change Germany going forward?
Well, it depends on what the outcome will be. I mean, obviously, the people will take their votes in September, and then there will be a coalition. Currently, it's either the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats, which will be a continuation of what we see today. A lot of people believe the Green Party should play a bigger role in the political responsibility for the country, which could be an interesting combination because the sustainability factor would be added to the social market economy. If that was to be able to work, that would be a great outcome, because at the end of the day, it is about market economy, it is about a social way to do so, and the environment matters. So to get those three elements together into one economic policy would be a very desirable outcome. So we'll see how it goes. We live with every democratically elected government in Germany, and we've been doing well for the last 170 years, with a few exceptions, unfortunately, as you know. How does the outcome affect Siemens? Honestly, not really much. First of all, we've got our customers. Secondly, Germany, the German relevance is rather low. We are less than 10% revenues in Germany of our total revenues. People just think about it. Sometimes it's 7-8%, but typically less than 10%. So more than 90% of Siemens revenues, is outside the country. And that's a truly global company. Of course, we would love to have a responsible, market-driven economy and policy in Germany. There's a lot which we need to catch up with, especially also on the labor qualification, on the digitalization, on the global networks. But as far as Siemens is concerned, we look much more into the potential decoupling between China and the United States. We are obviously concerned about the debate on free trade and what that will do. We really would love to have this conflict with Russia be a clearer direction. So that's actually what we look much more into, because the United States is our biggest market with more than 20 billion in revenues a year. China is the fastest growing market with the biggest opportunities. So we'd rather have clarity here on how those economic superpowers deal with each other, and then eventually find a new world trade order, which we need anyway, because if we believe that the Internet of Things, everything is connected, if that should work, we need to have an extraterritorial order on how we deal with that. And so therefore there's a lot more, I think, on focus between how it goes with the US-China trade debate, and whether or not Europe will be strong and united enough to sit on the table with them. And that's, I think, is the destiny also for Europe. If they come together, if they find a joint foreign economic policy position, then they will be on the table. If they don't, they are just another, busy economy which is busy with itself.